read the wind wrong. I should have gone to them.
Then you'd be dead too.
That's our job.
Hey! Stop! I'm not gonna hurt you. I want to see where the blood's coming from. It's not my blood.
You in trouble? Anyone else in trouble?
My dad said if anything happened, I should find someone I could trust. Are you someone I can trust?
We promise absolutes. Act accordingly.
It's Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, today is a movie review. I went ahead and I saw on Sunday night, opening night of the weekend of May 14th. Yes, May 14th. See the new movie by Angelina Jolie called Those Who Want Me Dead. And well, let me just say that remember our rating scale, shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, it's bad to see, I don't recommend it. And for Those Who Want Me Dead, it is a shock a thumbs up. Now, I guess the best way that I could compare this movie or summarize this movie is if you had seen the old Sylvester Stallone movie CLIFFHANGER. That is essentially what it is. I've shown you the trailer. Angelina Jolie plays a hotspot, which is basically a premier fireman who goes behind major forest fires along with a team of other forest fighters or firefighters. They usually parachute in. Sometimes they hike in basically behind the fire line and try to encircle the fire and make clearance breaks so that it eventually goes out. That way they can encircle the fire and basically suffocate it by removing fuel, timber, trees, etc. For it to burn or to continue to burn and spread. Maybe you've heard of the news a couple of years back, especially during the California fires of last year and such. The hot spots have really, or the hot shots have really done tremendous work trying to take care of these fires. And, many die in the process, unfortunately, because sometimes, often the wind will change, the fire changes direction, and basically these guys are trapped. These firefighters, they're trapped. Just them and the fire. They're given some protection, some blankets, some heat-resistant blankets, and oxygen to, if the fire comes their way directly, that they can survive some of the heat, hopefully, and have enough air to wait for it to pass over them. But sometimes it just burns too hot and for too long, and they just die, unfortunately. A horrible death. And this is basically what Angelina Jolie is playing. She plays the team member of one of these hotshots, and she's had a very traumatic event. Whereas just maybe a summer ago, her team had died. The wind, as I said, had changed, and she and her team found themselves attacked by the fire that they were sent in to fight. And additionally, 3 boys who were camping out there were burned alive, unfortunately, and killed. And unfortunately, Angelina Jolie saw them and was unable to go help them, or else she would have lost her own life. And thus, she feels terribly guilty about that. Again, just like I said, like Sylvester Stallone did in that movie Cliffhanger, where he, was trying to save somebody who was up on the mountain, had them in his grasp, in the harness, in the first 5 minutes of the movie. And just like, in Cliffhanger, in the first 5 minutes, you kind of get this backstory of where Angelina Jolie is at this time in her life. Very much like Cliffhanger, Sly Stallone, the harness fails, he loses his grip, and the woman that he was trying to save falls horribly to her death off the mountain. Whereas it would have maybe been an easy save or so, or what it seemed like was going to be an easy save. So very similar to that overall, and not only in the rescue aspect, but talking about the wind changing, not only in the fight against nature storyline, Those Who Want Me Dead, but also in Cliffhanger, there is a group of criminals. In Cliffhanger, it was bank robbers or something like that. They lose all this money up on the mountain. They get Stallone to go try to fetch it for them and threaten his friends for them, for him to bring it to them. In this one, Angelina Jolie, there is a couple of hitmen that are after a child who they had killed his father, who had ratted out on some government conspiracy, apparently, and had testified to the district attorney, was under witness protection, him and his son. However, the DA is killed and tortured to death, and thus gives up his location. He goes on the run, into the deep forest, and unfortunately, the hitmen find him, kill him, but his son gets away with some letters, about what his father was involved in, and I guess where the evidence is. We don't really get into too much of what the evidence is or what crimes, against the government or conspiracies that this man had been witness to. But basically the son has the information, so the hitmen must go after the son, who flees into the forest. That's where he finds Angelina Jolie. In order to flush him out, the hitmen start a major forest fire, and also to take manpower away from the sheriff's department in the area, where John Berthal plays the sheriff, and the brother-in-law to the man who was killed. Him and his son was going to go see him because he trusted him, being married to John Berthal's sister, and was going to go to him for protection and to speak out, to the newspapers, to the TV, etc. But unfortunately, he is killed. The hitmen believe that John Berthal has the kid, attack his family, his wife, and basically threaten to kill her if John Berthal doesn't use his tracking skills in order to help them find the kid out in the forest. Inside the forest, the kid runs across Angelina Jolie, who, instead of being on suspension because she's failed her psychological review, feeling tremendously guilty for the death of these kids, possibly suicidal in fact, she's just been on fire watch in a lone cabin or station out there in the forest, which is good. I guess they didn't want to fire her completely for failing that. So they're still keeping her on the payroll, and she's still performing a service for the fire service, just watching out for, forest fires. However, she misses this forest fire that that is started by the hitmen to kind of flush out the kid. But she does run across the kid. He tells her of what happened to his father and the two men after him. And basically, that's it. That's the entire story. Thanks to John Berthal, they come across the kid very soon, and Angelina Jolie. The fire has engulfed them, and that's pretty much where you get some of the scenes, the major action scenes from the trailer, as far as with the fire and such. So overall, it is a pretty good drama and tale of suspense and a little bit of a mystery. You never get to the heart of the mystery as far as what, like I said, what this man was witness to, the father of the child. However, it is good to see, the psychological playing, the guilt, very much like Sly Stallone had done in Cliffhanger, but with Angelina Jolie. So it's a gender, kind of switch gender-wise for this story. Now this was directed by Taylor Sheridan of Hell and High Water. So it is, he does a very decent job of it. The man's really a great director. Does better, I think, with his own work than this adapted story from a book. But still, Angelina Jolie sells it. I had my doubts. This is her first major role since Maleficent, Maleficent 2, which I did not go see. And, I guess the major role that we're going to see her in until the Internals. And watching her in this, I am happy to say that the Internals, she should do a great job in Internals, because she honestly does not miss a step in this movie, which I was a little afraid, maybe out of sorts with, with everything that happened between her and Brad Pitt, and, her health-wise. She is extremely thin in this movie. And it's even commented in the film by the kid, and she says, no, I'm lean, I'm not skinny, I'm lean, but it's like, well, okay, that makes sense for the firefighters. They use a lot of calories and energy, fighting those fires often. They're not bulky bodybuilder type usually. And so it all makes sense. They're not linebackers out there fighting the fire. They're more the quarterbacks, and which was the role as the leader of the hot spots or hot shots that she was doing. As far as physicality in this role, she still gets some good shots in on the bad guys and against the fire. I can honestly say you believe her and her ability, and that's a tribute to her acting. That you believe it's like, yeah, she's this firefighter. She kind of melts into the role. Forgive the pun, with fire and a forest fire melting into the role. But yes, the hitmen are played by the guy who played the Beast. Beast in the X-Men movies, and by Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. And so, if you like those two actors, Littlefinger definitely, man, he's, I forgot how much I missed watching his work. He was in that King Arthur movie, and he did an incredible job there as well. The one directed by Guy Ritchie. And he does another phenomenal job as a psychotic hitman, a sociopath hitman in this one. The guy that plays Beast in the X-Men, he is a little bit more robotic, but he's kind of, he's the second to Littlefinger, so he's kind of taking orders, so that kind of makes sense that, it's like, hey, go do this, go do that, you just do what I say, kind of a thing. And so his role works as well. But it's definitely Littlefinger who has the main pulse on how to get to this kid and basically set up all these plans for and scenarios for countering Angelina Jolie, John Berthal, and this kid that has this, incriminating evidence against his bosses. So yes, it is a shock, a thumbs up for those who wish me dead. It is playing in the movie theater currently. I went and saw it at the Windward Regal. This is the first movie I've seen at Regal since they reopened, I think last week. And I used my Unlimited card, and it is working fully again. So if you have the Regal Unlimited card, feel free to go ahead and use that. I actually had forgotten how to use it. It took me a few minutes at the theater to it's like, how do I use this thing again? It's like, oh, okay. And then I got my tickets there at the theater. So yes, Regal is back in business, fortunately, here on the islands of Hawaii, along with Consolidated, who was, open much, much longer during this pandemic. But as things are resolved, or at least getting better with the pandemic, much more movies we shall be seeing, and I shall be seeing, especially at Regal now that they're open, with my Unlimited card. Unfortunately, this weekend nothing new is opening up for Memorial Day weekend, unfortunately. But it also gives you a good chance, if you haven't seen anything or gone to the movies and want to, check it out, Consolidated or Regal. Right now, there's a couple of new movies. There's that Spiral. There's Those Who Wish Me Dead with Angelina Jolie, which again is a shock, a thumbs up. There's that Spiral movie with Chris Rock. If you liked The Saw, that's the next iteration in those movies. There's that cheesy horror movie, The Unholy, that's been out for a while streaming. And Raya the Last Dragon is still at theaters if you haven't seen it yet. And that is, again, a shock, a thumbs up as well. But for those who wish me dead, it is a shock, a thumbs up. If you don't want to go to Regal to watch it, or Consolidated, or the movie theater, it is streaming on HBO Max if you have that streaming service. Other than that, that's the only way to watch it, is the movie theater or HBO Max. It should probably within the next month be streaming on video on demand. So if you want to wait there as well. But again, you got a hankering for the movies. Angelina Jolie is hard to beat, especially with John Berthal in the movie as well. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, saying mahalo and aloha.